pre-baby, I was working 40 hours a week and I was finding friendship largely at work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your circle of influence is different.
Like you see the same people like 4 or 5 times a week. You shoot the shit together, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, yeah, you become friends with those people. And then I find it really hard to maintain those friendships when you're not in the same setting.
Yeah. All right. So Maddie, I don't know about you, but friendship has changed a little bit since becoming a mom.
Yep, it has.
Yeah. So what have you noticed since becoming a mom in your friendship circles? Has anything changed the way that you interact with your pre-baby friends?
Yeah, so 100%.
How so?
So pre-baby, me and my best friend lived 7-minute drive from each other. I'd get off work at 7 o'clock, drive home, be at her house for 7:30.
Nice.
We could chill until 9:30, 10, whenever I decided to go home. So if Amari had a late football game, I'd be like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna go hang out with Kat, it's cool. And then, or we'd go for a walk, or I'd just shoot her a text and be like, hey, want to go for a walk tonight, whatever, and we just link up and go for a walk.
A little sporadic.
Yeah. 8 o'clock at night, whatever, we can just go for a walk through Mission, nice area. And yeah, I don't think we've gone for a walk since Arden's been born.
No, but have you met up?
Oh, yeah, obviously, we've seen each other, but not, we moved up to Tuscany, so, was not familiar with Calgary. That's, I live, 25 minutes away from her now, when there's no traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hanging out when she's off work, if she gets off at 5, goes home, eats, changes, whatever, by the time she's at my house, it's 7, we're in the middle of bedtime.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's come over and, we've done, movie night after bedtime, which has been great. But, again, the frequency that we see each other has gone down significantly.
Totally.
And I feel like our connections have moved largely to phone calls.
So it's definitely been, there's a lot more, mental math involved in the way that you get together.
Yeah,
now.
and it's we have to schedule stuff, because if it's not scheduled, it don't happen.
Yes. Do you feel like that's the biggest change that happened to you with not just your friend Kat, but with other relationships as well? Do you feel like the scheduling?
Well, I also feel pre-baby, I was working 40 hours a week and I was finding friendship largely at work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your circle of influence is different.
You see the same people 4 or 5 times a week. You shoot the shit together, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's yeah, you become friends with those people. And then I find it really hard to maintain those friendships when you're not in the same setting.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you're removed, I don't work there anymore. It's hard for me to maintain those relationships when I'm not seeing those people every day.
Yeah, because you were sharing common situations at work.
Yeah.
Common circles.
Yeah, and I mean, I would even go as far to say I'd become friends with some of the clients that were there too,
Yeah, same here.
And once I'm not working there, I mean, I've run into some of them sometimes, but it's not.
They don't know the inner workings.
Yeah,
of your
and then
current
even
life.
sometimes, yeah, it's hard to maintain those things when you're not in the same environment with each other all the time.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, because as we were talking about this podcast, we were kind of making the connection that a lot of people's lives are connected with other people by virtue of shared circumstances. So from the time that you were very little, most people become friends with people that are in similar circumstances due to the environments they're in.
Yeah.
So you're in school, you're friends with people in your class, you're friends with people from your sports groups or church or, so basically from the time that you're very, very little to the time that I'd say even after you graduate university, because even in university you're in shared environments.
Yeah.
That's how you are creating friendships.
Yeah.
And now as motherhood is the new stage, everyone's already in their own bubbles and their circumstances are a little more isolated. So how the heck we expected to are we expected to keep this pre-baby friendships alive and well, or do we move on? I think that's one of the biggest questions that people have now.
This is where I struggle a little bit, because I don't know. I think there's a lot of things about motherhood where there's an unspoken expectation, and it's really Like there's some things I think that are more clear as an expectation as opposed to others. So like, I don't really have an answer for that, you know, where it's like, I don't really know if I'm like supposed to like continue to foster those friendships or if I'm just supposed to like move into the next chapter of my life and like try to create new ones.
Yeah.
Because that also feels like making new friends as a mom. It's like, for me, pre-baby, a lot of my close friends didn't have babies.
Right. So again, shared circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was one of the only ones out of like my inner close friend circle to have a baby. And so like that transition was weird because those friends, like, although like they still showed up and like supported me in the ways that they knew how, and were like there to answer the phone when I like needed to vent or cry or whatever.
Good.
It's like they can't turn around and be like, me too.
They understood that there was now a little bit of a divide between your experiences.
Yeah, like they can listen and they can ask questions and like they can offer kind of like thoughts and insights, but they can't share like shared personal experience of a very similar dynamic, you know? Like they can't be like, oh yeah, like I had this similar situation with my husband when this happened or whatever. You know?
Do you feel like there was an element of grief to that? Like when you shared that you were pregnant with some of your friends, what were their reactions?
Oh, excitement. I don't think there was anybody that was like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, nobody was like that.
That's good. I will say similar but different for me because I know that there were like coworkers that when I shared that I was pregnant, of course, were excited for me. But like there was an unspoken, there's an unspoken like reality check of, okay, we have a little bit of a timer now of what our current relationship is going to be. And now we don't know what it's going to look like after this 9 months.
Yeah.
And that was scary for me at least.
Yeah.
Because, like expectations were different. It's like, okay, so do we try to maintain this level of friendship outside of work, outside of like our current realities? What does that look like?
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that a lot of my friendships pre-baby have kind of continued, but I think that was because of, like that's the expectation that we had for ourselves. It was like, okay, we are going to try to maintain this friendship. However, it is going to look different.
Yeah.
But this leads me to my next point and maybe question to you is, how do we navigate having limited capacity and time? Because I think pre-baby, for myself, it was like I was excited more often to hang out with more people and to have like kind of spread myself out throughout like a bunch of different groups of friends, right? Everyone kind of has like different circles.
Yeah.
But now I'm finding that like I'm touched out. My brain is kind of like fried at the end of the day in a totally different way than it was like when I was working. And now it's like you have your evenings, but those evenings are way more precious than I feel like they were before because it's your only time to really detach from like the social expectations of like having a kid.
Yeah. So I think that I think has been like the biggest shift in my friendships, you know, is that time thing and the capacity thing.
Yeah.
And also the like bring the baby along thing.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm so glad that you said that. And like not to, okay, here's something to clarify before we go even further. There's going to be a lot of people listening to these podcasts who maybe know us personally. We do not by any means want to make you feel bad for saying or doing certain things, especially if you don't have children, okay? We're just sharing some experiences because this is the reality of a lot of people and we want to share those experiences.
And I think, I honestly, like, the people in my life have been, like, my pre-baby friends have, like...
been great.
They're great, and they love Arden and whatever. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, there's, like, low-key part of me, though, that's like, I just wish I could go for coffee with you and not have to bring my child with me.
Yes.
Because my attention's split.
So
like, sometimes I even feel like when I am visiting with those friends, I feel like my attention's still split because it's like, oh, we're having a conversation and now my child's playing with the electrical plug and I'm like, okay, don't take the safety lock out of the thing.
Literally.
And I, like, have to go deal with that. Or he, like, poos himself. And you're like, okay, just let me go change the diaper.
Uh-huh.
Or we'll be like visiting and I'll be like, okay, he's super fussy now. I have to go put him down for a nap. Like, just sit on my couch for 5 minutes while I like go deal with my kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or he's like yelling or crying, or like we're like in a coffee shop and he like wants to go run around on the floor and he's like pushing like coffee. Like, I was at Analog like last week with a friend of mine, and Arden's great. He's a great child. He's pretty good in public. And so he's like, Analog had all the like coffee ground bags like lined up on their shelving display.
Yep.
But it was open on both sides of the thing, which is a beautiful display. Anyway, so Arden's like toddling and he like leans in, he's like sniffing the bag and he like backs up and then he's like brushing the bags, and then all of a sudden he like shoves the bag off the shelf. And I'm like, okay, let me just go deal with my kid, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to sit in the chair at the coffee shop.
No.
And listen, you know?
Yeah.
And so like it's a lot of like redirecting my kid's focus while also trying to maintain a conversation and then the adult world.
Yeah. And pre-baby friends might not fully understand the extent of that. They'll be like, oh yeah, your kid should be able to, or might be able to sit there.
I remember being like, oh gosh, I was maybe like 21 or 22 at the time, and I had gone over this friend's house and her kids were there, and I remember trying to have a conversation with her, and her kids were like, they were little, like maybe 4 and 2.
Busy ages.
Oh, busy ages. Yeah. And they're like playing with some sort of block thing, craft thing on the counter, and the boy's like, she stole my toy, and he's crying. Naturally. And she's like trying to parent while also talk to me. And I remember being like, this is low-key annoying. Like, why are your kids here? Like, as a 22-year-old person with no children.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And like, honestly, like, I think all the people in my life have been really understanding and great about it. Like, nobody's made me feel like he's a nuisance to have around. Like,
but you remember what that's like.
No, I just find it annoying because I'm trying to have an adult conversation with you right now, and my kids push the coffee bags over, and I really wish I didn't have to go over there and like deal with him pushing the coffee bags off the shelf. Like, I just want to sit here and talk to you, have a nice time. But like
whose kid is that?
But like the reality, it's like, number one, I don't like being alone all damn day. Yeah. Like I like going out and like meeting up with people and like socialize. Like, I still like having a social life. It just means that Arden's with me most of the time. Yeah.
And so you're going to have to be mentally prepared for that to look different than it did when you were hanging out with your friends.
There's part of me that like wishes that it was more 50-50, but it's more like 90-10, where I'm like, have him with me 90% of the time I'm with my friends.
Right.
And 10% not.
Yeah.
Like, even last night I was at a birthday party for a friend, and Arden had to come with me for the first hour because Amari was working, and Amari picked him up from my friend's house after. That's great. And it was totally fine. Everybody was fine that he was there, but it's like, I can't sit
that
and
hour
enjoy.
Was not the same.
No, the hour, like, I spent the hour like dealing with Arden, who was eating a piece of cake and got chocolate everywhere, and like trying to wash his hands, and then he's like touching everything and like picking up their little like knickknacks off the shelves, and I'm like just trying to like make sure he doesn't break anything that's out. You know?
Because it's also not your environment. Like, that's at least something that I've realized for myself is like, okay, if we're gonna do something with my kid, by virtue of like we have to, like, I would honestly rather just be in my house where I know what's kid proofed and what's not, and like they can go wander off, whatever. Yeah. And that's a whole other barrier to it, is like, okay, like, you know, is this friend going to be able to get to my house, or like the timing and yada yada yada. Yeah. Same situation though. Like, I went to a baby shower the other day, and it was nothing but annoying to me, because I mean, I enjoyed being there because there were people that I knew, and like, it was exciting.
Was Poppy with you?
Poppy was with me. Yeah, and I was kind of expecting there to be some other kids. Oh. And so I was like, oh, I'm kind of like going to be in the same situation as a lot of other moms. So we'll all kind of be like watching our kids and like trying to have conversations.
This dynamic I find is so much different than like
we've
talked about this, where you like, we're like going to meet up, and you'll be like, I'm running 15 minutes late. I'll be like, ditto. Same. You know, and then it's like, oh, I feel a sense of like togetherness because, or like me and my one girlfriend, we were supposed to go to the zoo one day, and she texted me that morning, and she's like, we were up like 3 times last night, and I was like, same. She's like, let's still go to the zoo anyways, I might just be a zombie. And I was like, same. And she was like, it just made me feel so much better that I didn't have to like show up and pretend I wasn't up all night.
Yeah. Or like react to the sympathy of somebody who like clearly doesn't go through that themselves.
And then like even though somebody who hasn't that like isn't being up with a 6-month-old baby 3 or 4 times a night to breastfeed, like even though they might still understand that that's like a hard thing to go through and sympathize with that, like it's still like just like feels different to be like, oh, you literally were doing this exact same thing the same time I was.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. And so like that kind of brings me to my next point is like making friends with mom, like making new mom friends after you've had the baby and like trying to build new friendships with people that are in similar life phases as you that you maybe didn't know pre-baby.
How do you do that?
I mean, I feel like on some levels you and I have done that. Yeah. Like we did know each other like before having kids, but I feel like we've really connected since having kids. Yeah. And like I have a couple other friends that are similar, like some of Omari's friends he's like played football and stuff with, like they had kids the same age, and so like I'd met their wives and stuff like here and there kind of before having kids. And then like since having kids, I've like really connected with like a couple of them on like a deeper level, you know? And so that's been good, but it's still kind of like
it takes a little bit more work. You have to be really intentional
because it's like I don't see you every day unless we like go out of our way to make a plan. Yeah. You know? And so it's like I find like building new friendships when you're like sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I should like text this person or like what the like I don't know, you related it earlier to like online dating or something, but worse.
Oh, it's like a little bit, it's awkward because you don't really know what's going on in somebody else's life, but you're in similar circumstances in that like you're both on the online dating profile. So like you're obviously looking for something, but you don't know what's going on behind the surface.
And so like I just like find like sometimes it's like hard to know kind of like how much to like reach out to somebody when you're not super close with them. It can feel a little awkward. And then also finding it like actually there was, you and I had gone for a walk probably in like May, like in the springtime.
And we were still getting to know each other.
Yeah, we were still getting to know each other. And on the walk, you had said something about, you were like, oh yeah, I was hanging out yesterday with a friend, but she's like not quite a friend, she's kind of like acquaintance. And you were like, kind of like you.
Did I say that?
Yeah. That's so funny. And I remember just kind of like being like, oh, okay.
That's so awkward.
I was like, it was a little awkward. I was like,
hi, I'm not neurotypical.
But like, it made me think, I was like, yeah, like this is kind of like strange because like, I was like, I would have said you were a friend, but like, you're right in the sense that like, we actually don't know each other super well. Yeah. Yeah. But then it's like, how do we get to that level? Yeah. Especially with like new babies. Like, I feel like this might change a little bit once like our kids are in sports and you're like seeing the same parents weekly at sports games and whatever.
It's scheduled. You kind of like encouraged
again though, it's like within a structure. So I feel like this is kind of maybe one of the only chapters in my life where I'm like trying to make new friends that are in the same life space as me, but that I'm not actually seeing physically all the time every day and are not like just friends with because of circumstance, you know?
It's a whole new skill that I'm finding that we have to like navigate. Yeah. Because it's just like what we're saying, the circumstances are so unstructured that we have to be willing to put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation to get ourselves into a comfortable situation. Because realistically, like you just need that time to get to know somebody, because it took us like a good several months for us to say like, okay, like, hey, I'm going to go out, or hey, we're going to do a meal prep day. And it was literally that we like needed to be in that proximity to like talk or like share
like
our shared circumstances
like, physically
with our kids.
Share, like see each other to do that,
I think so. And that's the biggest challenge with moms is like, yes, I know that you're comfortable in like your daily routine and things like that, and maybe taking your kids out for an outing or having somebody else in your home or going to somebody else's home is not going to be the most comfortable or easy experience. But long run, finding other moms who are in similar circumstances and that like you could take your kid to their house and know that they've child-proofed their house as well because they also have kids or like, you know, they're aware that the conversation is going to be interrupted due to
Yeah, or
your
they know to
children's
like
needs.
pull snacks out after you've been there for 40 minutes because your kid's getting fussy. You don't have to be like, can my kid have an apple?
Yeah. Or, oh my gosh, yeah, when other moms have brought out snacks and be like, hey, I have an extra one for Poppy.
It's the best.
I'm like, hell yeah. Soul sister. It like immediately makes the connection stronger.
Yeah.
Because you just know each other's
You're like, yeah, you get it.
needs. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
And so, it's challenging, but it's made a huge difference, at least for me postpartum, to find moms that get it.
I also feel like it's easier to talk to them about like the stuff you're actually going through in the moment.
Yeah, it's less judgment.
Yeah, because they can be like, oh yeah, me too. We had that conversation last week. Or even like, like I just remember even like running into like one of Omari's buddies at the gym, and he was like, oh, like their kid is I think like maybe 6 or 7 weeks younger than Arden.
Oh, nice.
So he was like, oh, like, how are things? I was like, yo. It do be real today. And he was like, us too. We're at the same boat, man. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, even just like that little exchange, it's like, oh, that's so much nicer than just being like, oh, yeah, things are good.
Yeah. Which you kind of almost, at least for me, I've got some people-pleasing tendencies where it's like you don't want to share exactly how things are going with people who don't go through it. At
this point in time, I'd met this woman one other time. She's like, I'm not even 100% sure if they're married or not, but she's with like, it's like Omari's friend and then his friend's wife. And Omari's Mr. Everybody, so he like kind of is like, anyways, they know each other through football, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
At this point, I'd met this woman one other time, 2 years prior at his friend's birthday. Fast forward 2 years, run into her again after having Arden at his friend's birthday. And in between these two, like she was pregnant the first time I met her.
Okay.
And then, so I think our kids are like, I don't know, a year and a half apart or so.
Right.
And I don't even know, like she hardly even started a conversation with me. She's like, so how was your childbirth? And I was like, oh, I was like, I had a C-section. She's like, oh my God, me too. Was it horrible? And I was like, yeah. She's like, me too.
Instant connection.
You know, and it was just like, yo, like we're on the same page, man. But I just found like that interaction to be so unique in the sense that like there's not even many other moms that would be just like so real and raw off the hop.
And that's how you kind of filter out, I think, is back to my previous question is like, how do you navigate this with limited time and capacity is like, unfortunately to say, but you have to be a little bit more raw and I think a little bit more intentional with like who it is. Like listen to your intuition, find the people who really resonate with like your vibe. Yeah. Because otherwise, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, but like it's not going to provide you the filling that you need as a mom.
Okay, so what at this point in your life do you feel like you are wanting to get out of your friendships and relationships with people?
Oh, well, now I think now that I'm 13 months postpartum, I kind of feel like I've hit my stride and I'm a little bit more, like I'm allowed to pull my head out of the trenches and kind of look a little bit broader at my life again. Yeah. And say, okay, like, who do I want to be? What do I want to do as a mom? And like, what does my life look like with my family? Yeah. And so with friends now, I want them to be able to see that vision with me and to kind of have a bit of purpose, like direction to their lives. So I want like a shared sense of passion, like creativity, self-development, like that sort of thing. Yeah. I don't just want to keep hashing over like some old drama or like people we know or like honestly even just like day to day, like, oh, how's your day? Oh, good. I did laundry today. Like I don't want just that. Yeah. I want to talk about just like emotions, feelings. Yeah. Like I obviously include my day to day, but I want to expand that with my friends. And this even includes friends who've like had kids but are now out of these stages. Like I really appreciate my mom friends who have older kids and can show me like what they're doing now with their lives and how their kids have grown and like what their dynamic has changed into. And I'm just like really inspired by that. And so it's honestly just like less fluff, less filler. Yeah. And when I have conversations or hangouts with people, I want to leave those circumstances just feeling rejuvenated and fulfilled and inspired.
Yeah. Yes to all of the above. I have nothing to add.
Deal shut.
Deal
That's what
shut.
we're looking for.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, all of the above. And I'm totally losing my train of thought.
That's okay. I think it's honestly a good place to stop because if there's anybody that's like come to mind for you, or if that's like what you're seeking for, I just really want to encourage our listeners that it's possible for you. And it might feel like, you know, you're in the trenches now, or it might feel like online dating where it's a bit of drudgery and like you hate kind of filtering through how or who to like find.
Yeah.
But I can say with 100% certainty that it's worth it, and it really brings a lot of joy to your motherhood.
Yeah.
And it will make you a better person. It will make your experiences feel a little more balanced. At least it has for me. And so, again, one of our purposes of this podcast, this is when we went on our hike and we said, I think we need to start a podcast because these are the type of people we want to find, and we want to encourage other moms to feel this.
Yeah. So if you're looking for your mom tribe, follow us, like, subscribe. And I also just wanted to end really quick with just a shout out to all of our awesome friends and family who have been a really big support through this. And yeah, if you've contributed to me or Sarah in any way, you know who you are. Yeah, this journey would be really hard without you guys. And so even though like some of our friendship dynamics may have changed a little bit, we still love and appreciate you guys in any way you have shown up for us.
Amen. You have all played a huge role in whatever way that it has looked like. Yeah. So, thank you all. Much love. We'll see you next time.